welcome back to another cook. Today we are doing a meatball marinara sub. So realistically this is just meatballs marinara. You can use that part of the recipe, or if you want to do them into a sub, which I'm going to do, you can kind of take that one step further. The recipe is going to be enough to kind of do a full meal, so we're not going to use all of this in the actual sub itself, but it means I can kind of meal prep a little bit and have a little bit left over for lunches through the week. So we're going to get our meatballs ready first. We're going to kind of do this over the top style, so we're going to prepare the meatballs and then the sauce will be in a skillet underneath the grate. We're going to smoke these meatballs over the top of that, and then all the drippings will go down into the marinara sauce to kind of flavour it out. So the meatballs are pretty simple. So two different kinds of meat. We have beef mince and pork mince, a pound of each. So you can go ahead, add them into your bowl. Okay, into that then, as a kind of binder, we have our half a cup of breadcrumbs. Sorry, a cup of breadcrumbs. Then we're going in with about half a cup of Parmesan cheese, minus the spider. Then we have two different herbs. One is oregano, about a tablespoon of oregano. And then dried basil, again about a tablespoon. Okay then, just need to get in there, combine that together and work it until we get that primary bind in the meatballs. So they should hold themselves together. If you grab a chunk of it and hold it up, they should hold. So you want to keep mixing until you can't see the difference between the pork and the beef mince. Obviously the beef mince is a lot darker than the pork. So just keep squelching it through your hands. You kind of see sections like this where you can still see the breadcrumbs and stuff. You want that all combined. You don't want it to be overly visible. It takes a bit of work, but it'll be worth it in the end. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. Now we just need to get them portioned up and then back into the fridge to keep them nice and cool while we prepare our sauce. Okay, I'll stick another glove on. Bring our tray back in from before and we'll start to form our meatballs. Now, I'm not weighing them. You can weigh them if you want to keep them all uniform, but I think for a sub, considering it will shrink a little bit, maybe something that size, was that snooker ball size? Should be fine. It doesn't matter if they're all a little bit different size-wise, they don't need to be completely exact. Alright, that's them all rolled up. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 meatballs. These are fine for a sub. I think when we get 4 meatballs into a sub. If I was doing these just as like meatballs marinara to have with a bit of pasta, I'd probably make them slightly smaller and have more meatballs, but for sub size, I think this is fine. So we'll get these into the fridge and let them chill while we get the ingredients for the sauce ready. Okay, let's say our sauce is going to go into a skillet. So we're just going to prep all our ingredients cold, put them in here, and then as that sits underneath while the meatballs are smoking, that'll heat up, come together, and we can kind of give it a stir once the meatballs go back into it again. So first, we'll go in with a little bit of oil. So this is rosemary and garlic rapeseed oil, just a little drizzle in the bottom. Right, next up, finely diced 1 whole onion. Next up, 2 garlic cloves there. Smash them, quick chop. And in with that. Okay, next up, a tablespoon of tomato puree, a teaspoon of sugar, pepper, a bit of salt, 2 tins chopped tomatoes, and just top that off with a tin's worth of boiled water. That is going to form the basis of our marinara sauce. Plus we're also going to get all the flavourings from those meatballs dripping down into this. So move over to the barbecue and I'll show you how we're setting this up. Alright, barbecue's been fired up for a while. I've put my heat deflector plates in here just to preheat them, just to make sure they don't crack when we throw them into the hot coals. Before I close it up completely, I do want to throw in a chunk of wood. This is just a nice chunk of apple wood, that's going to give us our smoke. So I'll nestle that down in the coals. Wearing gloves, because these are hot, even through gloves, they're hot. I'll go ahead and drop that into place. That seals off, gives us a nice indirect area. Next up, in with the accessory rack. On with our cast iron skillet. On with our cooking grates. Then on with our meatballs. Make sure the meatballs are spaced over the skillet so it catches all the drippings. And we'll shut that down and let it smoke. Temperature wise, probably 160, 180. We don't need it too hot, we don't need it too cool either. We're not slow smoking these. And then we'll just keep an eye on the temperatures of the meatballs. Alright, at this stage you want to let that run. We want the meatballs to take on smoke, we want that skillet and sauce to come up in temperature and start bubbling away whilst all the drippings are going down into it. Check on it every now and again. One, we want to check it for temperature in the meatballs. We want to take it to around 65 or so. Now those aren't ready to eat yet, so don't eat them at that point. But at that point we're going to get them into the sauce, mix them around and then let them finish off in the sauce. The other thing to keep an eye on then is your sauce itself. As the drippings and stuff are going into it and it starts to bubble, if it starts to get too thick, go back in with a little bit more water just to keep it liquid until the point where the meatballs get into it, and then that's whenever we thicken it. So once you hit 65, meatballs off, they've taken on all the smoke we're going to take on at that point. Off the rack, remove the grates, get the meatballs into the sauce, mix it round and then continue to bubble it until those meatballs are cooked and your sauce is thickened. Then it's time to build up the subs. Alright, while they're briefly finishing off in the sauce, we can talk about what else we need. And really there's not much to it. You can take it as it is. Once those meatballs come up in temperature and your sauce is thick enough, make some pasta, mix it into it, job done. But for the sub wise, we've gone with a couple of sort of like fresh rolls. You can use sub rolls. These are kind of a little bit more like crusty white rolls. And all you need is a little bit of cheese. So we are going with Gouda as our sort of melting cheese today. You can put on whatever you want really. I think Gouda is going to give us a nice melt over the top of it. There's not a lot of prep for these either. We just need to get them opened up, ready for the meatballs. You don't cut them all the way through, kind of open them up book style to get the meatballs into them. Just swing them open, lie them out flat. That's them ready for the meatballs. At this point, our meatballs are up to temperature. Yeah, we're looking good. Let's get them off. Back on with our cooking grates again, because we're going to use them to melt the cheese. Still indirect. Let's get a look at these. Right, I forgot to hit the record button, but we have 4 meatballs in each sub roll, a little bit of the sauce spoon over the top, so the last thing to go on with then is the cheese. Probably 2 slices will be enough. Okay, then we'll put them onto the grill just to melt that down over the top. They're still indirect, we're not doing any direct grilling. I'll kind of crisp up the outside of the bun a bit and then melt the cheese. Then we are ready to eat. Alright, these look and smell pretty awesome. Rolls have crisped up nicely. Cheese is melted. The thing is, this is going to be one messy bite. Right, we'll cut one in half, give it a try. Go for this one at the front, down the middle. Oh, they're good looking rolls. Right, then we'll go with this one. Nice bit of meatball here at the end to get a taste of everything. Let's go. Oh, it's a good bite. The smoke flavour is on point for that. I think my only criticism would be I would want it on a softer roll, but that's a personal preference. I don't really like really crusty bread. Sometimes I just find it too hard to eat through and I just end up making a mess. Now in saying that, the crispiness kind of holds up to all that sauce and cheese that's inside it, so maybe it is required, who knows, but it tastes damn good. Okay, We're going to finish these off. I'll leave recipe in the description box below. If you make them, tag me on social media. Let me know what you thought of them. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next video.